I don't know, I just felt like I didn't like the idea of having to go to school, to then go to uni, to then get a 9-to-5 job. But for me, that's not a life that I wanted to live. And that was it. Like, I ended up coming home, packing my bags, and a week later I was living in London. This was genuinely a dream I had at the age of 16, 17. I tried everything from dropshipping to selling dodgy boxes to selling stuff on eBay, you name it. And there's a lot of things I haven't put in this video because this video will honestly be 2 hours long. It's taken 4 months of zero income, absolute zilch. Zero, no brands coming to us, no brands replying back to us. Our first client paid us $350 a month. It was humbling to say the least, but at the same time, I wouldn't have changed it for the world. I was making multiple 5 figures a month. And it sounds weird, like, okay, well, you started doing that 14, but now you're doing a marketing agency, so how does that correlate? What I'm trying to get at is all these kind of dots, which I'm gonna go and get into, all connect to one another and eventually end to something that makes sense. Alright guys, some of you may know me or may not know me. My name is Aaron. I run a creative marketing agency or firm. I don't like the word agency, but we'll call it agency because a lot of people know that term. We've been running for about a year and a half now. And we've had a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and I felt like it made sense to start sharing this journey. There might be a lot of people out there, may not be a lot of people out there that maybe want to know how to run an agency, how to start an agency, or where to even start in general, or how I started. So this is what I aim to do with these videos and these future videos. I really give you a bit of an idea of how things work and kind of look, at the end of the day, I'm still learning. I've definitely in no ways or no shape or form made it. But I'm, getting to the point of understanding how things work. And I'm definitely in a much more comfortable and confident space to be able to talk to you guys about how this all started. We work with brands that do anywhere between 50 to 100K plus a month in revenue and spend 20 to 30K on ads. This is also for brand owners as well who may want to see what the best top 5 ads are this week or the best creative ads that you should be running on Facebook ads. I'm doing my best to kind of get that type of content out and I guess document the whole journey from start to finish. So it's now the 3rd of January 2024. So I look to hopefully get a few videos out every month. Can't promise anything, but I guess the whole point we're here is to just start. And yeah, let's see how it goes. I'd say the journey when I was thinking about it before I got on camera was actually started from the age of like 13 or 14, maybe younger, but let's just say around that age. I've always been that kind of geek, so to say, or nerd or whatever you want to call it, who's just been into tech, and anyone who knows me knows that like I'm just that guy in it that just, I don't know, I have an obsession of them type of things when it comes to tech. And even at the age of 14, I was buying like dodgy boxes and selling them to friends and family so they can watch sports and movies for free. And maybe I shouldn't be telling you guys that, and maybe that might give me some sort of I don't know, lawsuit or something that might be coming from my door tomorrow, but who knows. But either way, I kind of want to give you an understanding of how this journey started, and that's kind of honestly how it did start. And it sounds weird, like, okay, well, you started doing that 14, but now you're doing a marketing agency, so how does that correlate? But what I'm trying to get at is all these kind of dots, which I'm going to go and get into eventually, all connect to one another and eventually like end to something that makes sense. And finally, I've got to the point at the age of 25 with 6 years being in the kind of entrepreneurship space, 6 years doing my own thing and working for myself, essentially, finally understood and realized what I want to do, what my kind of purpose and goal is, which is why I'm here today, right? Started from 14 and we'll fast forward to around 17, around A-level time, or I think college times as Americans say it. I dropped out on my second year of A-levels as I was working in Berlin for a fashion company called Zalando. And I kind of wanted to get involved in the UI UX space. Again, I was very into web design, web development at the time, and I wanted to see how I could progress that in my career. Didn't know how that I was going to do that, but I got this opportunity. I took it and I moved to Berlin for about 3 or 4 weeks and I had the best time there ever. First time ever I flew alone, traveled on my own, and lived with my aunt for a few weeks. And I was working for, again, if you know of Zalando, they're pretty big fashion corporation, kind of similar to the ASOS back in the UK here. And that opened my eyes to web design, and opened my eyes to UI UX. Now, again, I was only 17, so I didn't really know what I was doing or what I wanted to do. But I came back and I said, listen, I don't want to do school anymore. I was like, quit. And for about a month or two, I didn't go back to school. And then long story short, my aunt basically said, hey, you've got to finish your A-levels, you've got to go back to school, which is what I did because I listened to her and it was something that I felt maybe made sense. And it was a bit of a waste of time. It didn't do much for me. Actually, I think I failed my A-levels. They got like a C and just a few fails basically. So I didn't do anything special because I knew this wasn't what I wanted to do. But again, it was something I just had to get done. And as much as it was a waste of time, I'm glad I'd done it. I never had the intention to go to university. And luckily my parents, who are still very supportive, didn't push me to go and say, hey, you've got to go uni, you've got to get a degree and stuff. So I was very lucky because I know there's a lot of people out there that don't kind of have that luck with their parents, or you've got to go uni, you've got to get a degree, you've got to do this, I didn't have any of that. So I was very lucky enough to not go uni. So I skipped that life because I didn't want to live or do the kind of normal things normal people are doing. Not to say it's bad, but for me, I don't know, I just felt like I didn't like the idea of having to go to school, to then go to uni, to then get a 9-to-5 job, and then get married, and then that's the kind of cycle that a lot of people repeat, right? And again, I'm not saying that it's wrong in any way, shape or form, but for me, that's not a life that I wanted to live. I've always wanted to live a life of freedom, living my life on my own terms, and being able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And more so from a work perspective, work where I want to work. I kind of run my life on my terms, right? Because the way I see it, we're born into this world to do what we want to do, right? Whatever our passions are, we will achieve them. But again, the way the kind of social system, the school system is being set out to be, it's like you've got to do things this way and you've got to do things that way. And I think a lot of things opened my eyes to how I could do that when I moved to London. So moving on to that story was when I was 18 and I finished my A-levels, I got my results. I think the day of my results day, I took a train to London and actually went to Shoreditch. And I had an interview with, again, another clothing brand called All Saints, which you may know of, to be an intern as a UI UX designer, which unfortunately at the time I didn't get. But they said, hey, you know what? We're going to pass you on to a good friend who also has a fashion startup company. They've just started running it. They need interns. We can give you an interview and maybe just see what happens from there. So I took the interview on the day of that All Saints interview. And I got an email from my manager at the time called Holly. And she said to me, hey, amazing job. You've got the role. Like, when can you start, kind of thing? And she was like, I kind of need someone as soon as possible. And that was it. Like, I ended up coming home, packing my bags, and a week later I was living in London. Now, my plan was only to live in London for 3 months. This was genuinely a dream I had at the age of 16, 17, to live in the city, because I lived in Berlin for only 3 weeks, but I had the kind of the opportunity to live in the city and to have that vibe. And I don't know, it was cool, because when you come from a small town and all of a sudden you live in a city, to me, that was something I just didn't want to let go. And the fact that at the age of 18, I was able to make that happen and live in London was something that was like a tick for me. So that was it. I'd done that, lived in London, and what ended up being a 3-month kind of stint ended up turning out to be a 6-year stint. So I ended up living in London for 6 years. I'm now 25, soon to be 26, and I left London last year. And within me living in London, a lot of things happened in the last 5 or 6 years. Different businesses, different opportunities, just everything happened in London. To be honest, London is not even so my second home, my first home in some sense, because I lived there for so long, but I felt like I lived so many different lives. So many lives that I wouldn't have lived if I was living back at home. And this brings me on to my next point, which is how I really try to tell a lot of people that living where you live or where you grew up from isn't going to take you to the next level in life. Now, again, if you lived in London before, maybe it's a bit different. But for me and people around me, we've just lived in towns, right? We've just lived not from a city, essentially. And for me, my mind and my mindset changed when I moved to London. And as much as London is I have my mixed reviews of London. It's love and a hate city for me, but it's done like the most for me. And I wouldn't be here where I am today, sitting even in this room, without me being in London. I lived in London for five or 6 years, and I started my life in Ilford, a place based in East London, if you guys don't know, and it's the rough ends of London, put it that way. And it was humbling to say the least, but at the same time, I wouldn't have changed it for the world. Now, I was very grateful enough to live with my grandmother for 3 years, which was great. And in between that time, a lot of things happened, and my journey started from my actually quite a big room I had in Ilford. And what I thought was just going to be an internship, which would then turn into a full-time role, ended up being just me starting my journey as an entrepreneur, shall I say, and me starting my journey being self-employed. Fast forward to the end of this internship / full-time role. I decided I'd done what I need to do in this role. I decided I wasn't going to progress any further. And even my boss even said to me, hey, listen, look, unless you do X, Y, and Z, and by X, Y, and Z, I meant kind of degree or some sort of form of education, we can't unfortunately progress you to the next stage. So for me, I said, okay, cool, that's fine. I've had and I learned a lot within this internship and full-time role, which is really only meant to be 3 months, which ended up being, I think, 14, 15 months. So I was very grateful for that. Now, I learned websites and learned coding from the age of 16, 17. So I wanted to pursue this as a career. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to do this to the level at 18 with this internship. So I kind of just wanted to do it off my own back. So I stumbled across a guy online on an online forum who we started chatting with, constantly. And he was a photographer based in America. And long story short, he wanted a website done. So I said, okay, cool. I'll make the website for you completely free of charge. And for me, it was just a case of getting myself out there. I didn't want to make any bit of money from this. $100, $200 didn't mean much to me because, I don't know, it wasn't something that I felt like was worth taking money from because I knew maybe there might be some benefits I can for it in the future. Now, 7 months later, the website finally came out because, again, I was still working for this company at the time. I didn't want to dedicate, and I couldn't dedicate my life to this website on a full-time basis. So it was something that I just worked on as I went on the weekends. All of a sudden on my Instagram, I had messages come through on a daily basis. I love this website you've done. How much do you charge? I'm looking for a website for this. And I had at least 5 or 6 DMs every other day coming through about websites. I was like, okay, cool. This is very interesting. This isn't something that I expected, but hey, like something must be coming from this. So I decided to let go of this full-time role. So that's where the first business was formed, which was BuiltByBains in 2017. So I was around 19 or 20 at the time. I had no idea about business. I didn't know what taxes were, didn't know how to file my taxes. I had a zero idea about any of these things, but I just knew I wanted to start something. So I went back to the drawing board and back into Ilford, and I would sit there in the living room every single day. Now I've just gone from working a Monday to Friday, right? A 9 to 5, a 9 to 6, back all the way in West London, which would take me an hour and a half to get to every day. Or East London if sometimes we were in Shoreditch, to now being at home every single day, waking up in the same room, going downstairs to the living room. I had to make it work, make something happen. So from all these DMs and messages I got, I decided to reach out to a few people and offer my services. Now, I didn't know what or how to price these websites. I had no idea how much a website should cost, what was too cheap, what was too expensive. I didn't want to take the piss. So I charge anywhere between $300 to $600 for a website. And it took me around 2 to 3 weeks to create these websites all by myself. But for me, the fact that I was just making money online was just mind blowing to me at the age of like 18, 19 now. People were paying me, a random person off Instagram, to make a website. I thought, okay, cool, I can make this into something. So with the first bit of money I got, I took a flight to LA. Now this was, I think, my first trip in the last 2 years, and at least after Berlin. That's where my travel addiction started. And from LA, I headed to New York a week or two later. And from New York, I believe I headed to somewhere in Europe. Whilst doing this, I was working from around 8 or 9 p.m. to around 6 a.m. in the morning. I know that sounds stupid. It sounds almost unbelievable, but I have the receipts, and I'm probably putting them up here on Snapchat, wherever else I've saved that, where I'll be up every night figuring out how I could get my name out there, how I could get myself out there. Which is why I realized today, as I'm talking to you guys today, personal brand was something I've been doing for years without me realizing. I'd be creating content or posting stuff online, whether it's on my Instagram or whether it's on Snapchat, and I'd be finding the right people to reach out to. And one of the people that I reached out to was an artist based in UK called Big Zoo. Now, some of you may not know of him, but I'm sure some of you will know. He's done pretty well. He's on most of your TV screens doing kind of food shows and stuff, and as an artist has grown to be a huge artist. And he was my first music client. And again, I'll show some screenshots on the screen, who I did a website for about £300. So he was just starting as a music artist, independent, and he just wanted to get his music out there. So I said, let me make a website for you. Made a website, and it was pretty successful. And I used that as, if you want to call it, clout, to get my name out there to go on to the next kind of project. So I thought, you know what, I've done a website for Big Zoo. Why don't I reach out to all these music artists? So I decided to make a website for Stormzy, Novelist, Gets, Notes, Rams, the list goes on. And if you're from the UK, you'll know about all these artists. And I've got, again, all the receipts. It's on my BuiltByBains Instagram page, which are now archived, but I'll share them. And I was creating designs for these artists. I think every 2-3 days, I'd create a design. I'll then code that design. I'll then post that online onto my Instagram. And the only people that would like it would be friends and a bit of family. Like, no one else would see it. Then I decided to run paid ads on these websites. And I actually had someone from Stormzy's kind of clique or Stormzy's kind of team reach out to me and say, hey, you're going to take this down. Like what you posted right now, I posted, I designed their shop version, and I kind of maybe took a few elements from their website and they kind of claimed it as copyright. So I was I was told to take it down and not run any sponsorship from that. So that was kind of my music artist dream over. And I felt like all the artists and labels I've spoken to didn't really give me the time of the day. But the point for me was getting the reps in and really being able to get to the next stage of my website career. Other than the paid ads posts that I'd done for Stormzy, I never really had to run any type of paid ads or any marketing in that sense. If not 99% of my jobs that I got through were complete word of mouth. It was complete, Aaron is a website guy. Aaron is a guy that you need for websites. And that's how it started. So for 2-3 years, that's what I'd done on and off. Not full time in the end, and I'll get onto that later. But websites was my main gig and was my passion at the time that I was gearing towards, and made me a decent amount of money. And also taught me a lot about business, taught me a lot about how to price things, how to structure, and how to really talk to clients. So around 2018, I went to a party and I met this photographer I knew from Instagram. And I wanted to reach out to him directly and see if he wanted a website. And again, for me, I was still on this kind of journey of getting myself out there. So I reached out to this guy and I said, listen, let's get a website done. 2-3 months later, he was inviting me to a few events here and there. And I met him and a few friends at the time. 6 months later, I was in Japan just on a trip. And I got a call from him saying, hey, bro, do you want to get an office together? And I was like, why the hell do I need an office when I live at home? I barely pay any rent. I've got my office in my living room. I'm good. So I put the phone down, and then I was in Japan and I was just thinking about it, like, maybe an office is a good idea. I don't need one, but it was like 200-300 quid a month. Like, yeah, I can afford it. I've got some website money coming in. Might be a good look for the website. So I rang him back, I think a day later, and I said to him, hey, let's get this office. So me and 2 people moved into this office, and that is where the journey of TakeMorePhotos started. The second business adventure. Now, there's a lot of business adventures through this course of the video, but I kind of want to give you an idea of how and why things started. So again, TakeMorePhotos started between me and 2 other guys based in London, and it was the aim for TakeMorePhotos was a community for photographers, a community for videographers and creators in general to come and really be able to share their work. And around 2018, 19, 20, like, it was hard, and it still is hard now to get yourself out there, whether you're in the creative field or whatever field you're in. Pushing on the likes of social media like Instagram wasn't easy. So our aim for TakeMorePhotos was essentially to throw it down people's throats to take more photos. So we started that business with the intent of selling camera straps. And again, I'll put them on the screen. These camera straps we made, and we were able to sell quite a lot of these units. But before we'd done that, we knew we needed to create some sort of community, some sort of cult. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and say we had this whole crazy Q1, Q2 strategy and we're going to do this and do that. We had no idea what we were going to do. All we'd done was we made the logo and we created stickers. And these stickers then got sent out to people that we met, whether it's on night outs or events, whatever it may be. Hey, take a sticker. Hey, take a sticker. All of a sudden, you've got a bunch of creators within London, like having the sticker on the back of their phone. And that spiraled into random people, whether they're not creatives or they're just people that like the idea of the brand, rocking the stickers. And these stickers were what got us from 0 to 100 very, very quickly. Now, all of a sudden, I had something which I thought was, and still was, money that I was being able to make from websites. But then I had TMP, TakeMorePhotos, and overnight it just blew up. And I'm not going to credit all that success to myself, because I was probably 10% of that success, if not 5%. And my 2 partners at the time were the driving force between TakeMorePhotos and the driving force between bringing the community together and bringing all these creatives together. Because at the time, they were photographers. They were photographers trying to just chase a dream, chase a passion. And then you have all these people in the industry, and they kind of wanted everyone to be part of this community. And we were able to create something amazing. So as we blew up, we decided to capitalize on things such as events and game nights and movie nights. And that's what we done. We had at one point 200 to 300 people in one room, all networking together, whether they're creatives or just people that kind of wanted to just hang out and meet like-minded people in London. We became that kind of almost that driving force in London and that meetup kind of world for people to just come from. There was people come from Birmingham, from Nottingham, from wherever in UK to just meet with like-minded people. And we achieved that in a very short space of time. But that wasn't the goal for TMP. TMP was something bigger. But look, I didn't have any business experience, and nor did the other guys. We didn't really know what we were doing. Again, we were running off pipe. We were running off just a lot of people showing us the stickers, showing us the merchandise. And that was just cool to see. But there was no real end goal with TMP. Now, there is now, 4 or 5 years later. But back then, it was just, we wanted to make something work. And that's what we've done. Now, as much as it was successful from a standpoint, from an outsider standpoint, you know, all these people going to events and events being sold out and movie nights and whatnot, we weren't making no money. We didn't generate any money. Now, in fact, if we did generate any money, none of that money could go to myself or the two partners, right? Any money we made from merchandise, whether it was our camera straps, our stickers, our t-shirts or hoodies, whatever it was, or events, we didn't see any of that money. Why? Because it wasn't a lot of it. And the truth was, living in London at that time, and even now so more so, is expensive, right? And I wasn't paying any rent as much as I was paying 2-3 years later. And I need to make do with kind of making some sort of money. So that's what I done. So BuiltByBains was our main source of income at the time. I had a website still coming in. I'm able to make $1,000 or $2,000 here and there. And it was kind of getting me by. And then I stumbled across affiliate marketing. And one day I was on Instagram and I wanted to learn how to trade. Now, as you may know, and you've probably seen for the last few years, Forex traders, just a bunch of scammers everywhere, right? And I agree with you. A lot of it is all BS. But one day I did join a signals group, and I was, and don't worry, I'm not trying to sell you a course. I'm not trying to sell you any kind of signal, but I joined this trading company and I started making some money. I was making like 40 quid, 50 quid here and there. But anyway, nothing to shout out home about. Until I got told to do affiliate marketing, until I got a message from the person that originally signed me up and said, hey, do you want to go ahead and maybe market the trading yourself? And I was like, no, what is this going on about? This is probably a scam. I don't have time for this. So I had TMP I was running, and I just didn't bother with it. 2 weeks later, I was at a point where BuiltByBains was pushed very well. I was still getting websites come in, whether it was through my website form or Instagram. Work was coming in, it was good. I just thought about this affiliate marketing, like, okay, maybe this is something I'm able to do with previous experience or prior experience. This might be something that I could get my teeth stuck into. So that's what I done. I started affiliate marketing. So I started to learn how to trade. I got myself stuck into the educational side of things before I was comfortable enough to be selling that as a service. Because I didn't want to be one of those guys that were able to scam people for, you make £200 a day, £500 a day. It's not real life. It's not possible. But for me, maybe I was able to take this to the next step. Now, this was around summer of 2018 when I started. Soon things progressed quicker than I could expect. Now, as TMP was happening, as BuiltByBains happening, I was building this affiliate marketing business up. Now, again, this was another part of my personal branding. Fast forward 2 years into it, I was making multiple 5 figures a month, all from just marketing myself as a person and when I went away and traveling, and also educating people on trading, giving value for free on trading. So it started at like £300 a month, and then it 10x to 3,000. Then eventually I was doing 10,000, then 20,000. The list went on. I was making a lot of money. Now, I'm not here to brag. I'm not here to tell you how much money I've made, because it doesn't mean anything. The point is, I was able to put myself out there and market myself and educate people within the world of trading. I was able to give value for free before I was able to ask people for money. And that is why I was able to turn it from 0 to 100. Then I decided to turn up the notch a bit. Now, as I was doing TakeMorePhotos, as I was doing BuiltByBains, they were my two main passions, but I needed to make ends meet. I wanted to make money. Now, I didn't intend to make $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month. It just happened. And I was very grateful and blessed for that. And the turning point for me was paid ads. Now, paid ads, if you don't know, is Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, where you're running or you're putting money behind a post or money behind a story to then obviously generate more income. Now, everyone within this trader community had no idea what paid ads were. But again, because I've done dropshipping before and I've had that experience from prior endeavors, I knew what I was doing. I knew how to run a Facebook ad. So that's what I done. I started spending £500 a month, and then eventually it progressed to like 1,000. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to start spending 10 grand a month. So I applied for American Express card, and I put all of that money on my credit card every month. So it went from spending 500 to 1,000 a month to now spending £10,000 every single month on Facebook ads, paid by my credit card, which I then pay off every single month. So what did that mean? That meant I was able to generate more than double, if not triple, the amount of revenue just from paid ads. And because that market was so untapped at the time, this is going back 4 or 5 years ago, there was no competition for me. I was able to write all the creatives myself. I was able to make all the content myself, because all real. Every single bit of content I posted was not fake. I didn't once buy any kind of fake designer. I didn't once buy a fake watch. I didn't once fake a kind of travel holiday. Everything was real. So it's very easy for me to make this content. So in effect, this was all personal branding without me realizing it was personal branding. I built this account from absolute zero to 25K at the time in followers, completely organic, no like bots or anything like that. I was able to build this up from 0 to 25K and make an living income from this every single month. And it was kind of, it didn't feel like real life for me, I'll be honest. It was just numbers on a screen, because every month I'd be getting 5-figure paychecks every single month without fail. I thought, this is crazy how I've gone from making like 1, 2, 3, whatever it may have been from websites to like really like a lot of money. And at that time, and still is a lot of money. I didn't know what to do with it. And I was kind of in a bubble. I was in this world of like, yeah, like this just means nothing. I would get annoyed if I was making 5 grand or less. And it sounds really stupid, but I was genuinely pissed off if I made less than 5 grand. Because I was like, well, I just made 10 grand last month. I made 20 grand the month before. However, all of a sudden, just made, less than 5 grand. It didn't make sense to me. And for me, it was a bubble I was in. I didn't realize I was in until 2-3 years later. Now, as great as that time was, and I made some money, and I enjoyed myself because I was able to travel everywhere as well. It wasn't real life. It wasn't something that I wanted to do forever and more. And paid marketing was definitely something I knew I had the knack for. So with all this money being made and affiliate marketing going well for me, unfortunately, I lost the passion. I lost the passion for websites. I lost the passion to want to make websites. But I knew it was something that was lucrative. I knew it was something that was able to make me money in the future. So I didn't decide to just close this business straight away. I left the business running, and I actually went on Upwork and hired a couple of developers and hired a couple of designers. So if I ever needed a website done, I could go to them and I could kind of project manage them. But for me, BuiltByBains or website as a whole was dead and buried. So I moved on from that. As much as TakeMorePhotos was on the up and was continuing to go on the up, we were working for brands such as Adidas, Sony, Through Mobile, the list goes on. But the point was, we weren't able to make any money ourselves. And, on a realistic world, we all need to make money. So as successfully, I was able to do that through affiliate marketing, which is great. But the next stage for me was, okay, this is not real life. So what's the next stage? Because I knew nothing lasts forever. And every time I'd go away, every time I was doing something and I was making money really entirely from this, I knew at some point there was going to be that light bulb moment and it will all be gone in a flash. So before I could even make that happen, I decided to just stop. Randomly around May 2021, I literally stopped everything. I stopped posting. I deleted kind of most of my account and posts. I got rid of the kind of number that I was on at the time. And I just had no affiliation with it. Not because there was anything that went wrong with it. And you could say, well, you're making all that money, but to me, it wasn't something that was sustainable enough. I knew that eventually it could have been maybe a year later, 6 months later, or maybe I could have been still doing it now, and I might not be talking to you guys right now. It just wasn't something I wanted to continue doing. So once I left affiliate marketing, I thought, what's next? I've got TMP still, we're still doing that, but maybe there's something else I want to do. To be honest, look, I was 21, 22. I was so scattered. I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that. I wasn't always focused on one thing, which was always my problems. But I stumbled across a crypto educational company, a company that I knew of quite well through Instagram, and I knew of the founders. And I thought, you know what? I can run paid ads. I've done paid ads, obviously, for affiliate marketing. I know how to spend money to make money and do it really well. So that was my pitch to them. one night we had a conversation and I said, listen, let me run your ads for your crypto brand. And unfortunately, nothing came from it. And fair enough to the founder, his name is Asad. He reached out to me 3-4 months later and said, hey, bro, so I think I've got something for you that you can work on for the next few months. So that's what I done. I ended up freelancing for them, still doing TMP and kind of other endeavors, but kind of working on the side again just to make some money and make ends meet. And I was able to create their merchandise line for them at the time. And that was my one project I worked on for 3 months. And I enjoyed it so much that I ended up jumping into the main company itself, Cryptonary, and being able to work with them on a daily basis as their head of creative, head of social. And that's what I done. Every single day I was the person that would upload on Instagram and kind of figure out and work on content, work with an amazing team of people. And we grew that to crazy, crazy heights. I'll forever be grateful for that, from, the things I learned, managing a team, working with more than, 10, 15 people remotely from all over the world, and just being able to build something with the knowledge I have from TMP to now bringing this into a complete different industry, being crypto. And obviously, as you all know, the crypto bull run was crazy. 2020, 2021, it exploded. So when that exploded, we exploded. And for me, that was a great thing. And for the company, it was even greater thing. So I took that on my stride to then push content out there even more than we had before. So that's when I decided it's time to be different. Now, all these crypto brands are doing the same thing, just posting kind of similar content or the same content. And to be honest, without sounding biased, our content was very different. So how could we get to the next stage of getting even better content? So I thought, you know what, I've learned a lot from TMP, from the production and the shoots we've been on with the likes of Adidas and Sony. And I just learned how to kind of tackle from a creative standpoint. But I'll be honest, I wasn't a creative. I wasn't someone who was confident enough to really say, listen, I could do this for you. I know how to operate this and that, because I didn't. But I knew I was the only person within the company that could do that because I had prior experience. So I threw myself in that deep end. I said, hey, why don't we create a production line? Why don't we get a shoe in London? Why don't we create courses? Why don't we create TikToks? Why don't we create YouTube shorts? Why don't we create Instagram ads? And that's what we've done. Every single week for around a year, we were shooting content for crypto every single week. And I was able to learn the ropes, how podcast works, how YouTube videos works, how, short form content works. So we were creating TikTok content, we were creating YouTube short content, Instagram ad content, you name it. Like, I made a lot of it. Now that was a great success. I made 3 crypto courses and many, many, many YouTube shorts, TikToks and Instagrams, you name it. It's all online to see. And that was able to kind of get me in the mind frame of, okay, this production life is kind of cool. I learned a lot about being on set, a director, producer. And I had all that experience from before, but doing it on a weekly basis, it's kind of like anything in life, right? You train yourself, it's like a habit. And it was like very repetitive. So that every week and every 2 weeks, I was able to learn a lot more than I learned from the previous weeks. And through that brings me on to kind of the next stage of my life, which obviously where we are today and what we're talking about, and the main kind of premise of this whole YouTube channel and this premise of this whole content journey, MTRX Media, the creative marketing firm. 2 years later, we move into 2023. After contracting and freelancing for Cryptonary and working on TakeMorePhotos, we kind of left that ship and I decided to work on something different. Now, I know it really does sound like I've just jumped into every kind of business you can think of. And that's true, I have. I tried everything from dropshipping to selling dodgy boxes to selling stuff on eBay, you name it. And there's a lot of things I haven't put in this video because this video will honestly be 2 hours long. But for the most part, what I'm trying to get at is I have a tendency to try things and I have a tendency to just try and make things work. But what I haven't been able to do well of yet, or since 2022, is stick at something and really not lose focus on it. And that's where I'm at right now, 2024, MTRX Media. MTRX Media has been running for, if you don't know, for around a year and a half, give or take. It's something I started shortly after Cryptonary. Now, so as I mentioned previously, I never got rid of BuiltByBains. I never shut it down as a business. I kind of always had it as a fail-safe, and not a fail-safe in the sense of, oh, I can pick it up and make more money. It was like, I've just got something there. So I use it as my base, and I kind of started to build the foundations again. And the truth is, 6 months into me kind of leaving everything I had with the crypto guys, with TMP, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I had BuiltByBains, but I didn't know where I wanted to take it. I knew it was going to be some sort of marketing thing. I didn't want to push websites. I know that's not my passion, so I was going to be forcing it. But I needed to take advantage of the likes of TikTok and Instagram because that was blowing up. It still is. Short form content, long form content. Brands were just wanting to be on these platforms. So I needed to capitalize on it. But I didn't know how to do it. So for 6 months, I was pretty much in holiday mode. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was just waking up every day, just moving on with life. Like I genuinely wasn't doing anything to progress my life or progress my career. I felt, you know what, I've done so much within the crypto brand and within TMP. I just want to just chill for a bit. And the truth is I didn't need to chill, but I just told my brain I need to chill, but I didn't. And it was more of a kind of a coping mechanism for me to just figure life out. And that's what I done for 6 months. I partied hard. I traveled. I done whatever I wanted to do. And I kind of just done what I could do with whatever I had left, whatever I had saved and invested or whatnot else. But it wasn't real life. It wasn't something I could be doing every single day. I was complacent. That's the best word. I was complacent and I let that complacency take over from me. And it was only till 6, 7, 8 months later, I realized, okay, cool. I've got to now make something happen. I haven't got anything that is paying me a salary every month. I haven't got anything that is like a stable thing. I've just left something that was very stable. I left something that was paying very well. I've now got to make it myself. No one is going to just throw me money. I can't now jump into affiliate marketing again and say, hey, I'm back. No, it's not going to work. So after Cryptonary, BuiltByBains, TakeMorePhotos, I decided I wanted more out of what I could achieve. So I left Cryptonary and that's where MTRX Media were born. So in between that time, our first client paid us $350 a month as a paid trial. Now, for us, that was amazing, but obviously it wasn't sustainable. And we were running TikTok organic for them where we were able to turn their videos from 0 to 100 and basically create virality. And these are low quality clients. No offense to them, but they're just clients that relied on us rather than the other way around. Fast forward 12 months later, we now work with brands that are spending 20 to 30 grand a month on ads and making at least 100 grand in revenue. And that's taken us a year to get to that point. It wasn't something that happened overnight. And although online in the way I maybe sometimes show it, because I haven't really been public about MTRX Media, it comes across as if it's just all happened in the last 2, 3, 4 months. It's taken time. It's taken us doing really bad for brands and brands actually asking for money back in refunds. It's taken clients pausing because they can't afford it from a cash flow perspective and us being screwed ourselves from a cash flow perspective. It's taken 4 months of zero income, absolute zilch, zero, no brands coming to us, no brands replying back to us, essentially no clientele for 4 or 5 months. To us to now get to the point in 2024 where we've been able to build foundations in 2023 to really create what is going to be a crazy 2024. It's taken 12 months to get to this point. In fact, looking at the numbers 2-3 days ago, we've 50x'd our growth since the day we started MTRX Media. And December, in fact, last month was our best month the whole year. Now that just goes to show when you stick to something and you don't kind of have shiny object syndrome and go to this business and that business and this idea and that idea, it can work. Now, my aim for these videos and this type of content is to show you this journey and also show you the ups and downs. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of it in 2024. I'm within MTRX Media. But show you real life, show you how an agency works, show you how we hire people, show you what we're doing to acquire these brands and a lot more, and just give you an insight into MTRX Media and I guess myself, Aaron. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and I'll see you on the next one. I think that's it.
That was it?
I think so, yeah.